The wife and I are on a road trip to the south coast of England for another video which you'll see shortly in a few weeks. And we've decided to take the 10-year-old Nissan Leaf. Now, if you've been watching the channel previously, you'll know that this Nissan Leaf originally came with a 30 kilowatt hour battery, but we upgraded it to double the capacity with a much bigger battery. I'm on a mission to make upgrades to this vehicle. There is another one which makes the car a little bit faster, which you'll see in a future video, but there is still a challenge with this vehicle for long journeys, and I think we need to address that, so we're going to do that in this video. That's right, people. 2 days after upgrading this vehicle to be faster, we're taking it on a 500-mile road trip. Well, that side of the motorway is closed. As I'm sure you can guess, that's way more than the range of this Leaf. So, we're going to need public charging. Oh no, public charging in a CHAdeMO Leaf? That's going to be hard, isn't it? Well, I wanted to find out if a CHAdeMO to CCS adapter is a worthwhile upgrade for the Nissan Leaf. Do we need to stop yet? Probably not. There's like 40% battery. This is what is going to make the difference for our weekend away. Inside here, we have a CHAdeMO to CCS adapter. And what a beast this thing is. So we can plug this in and use these CCS chargers. It's quite funny because these chargers actually do have CHAdeMO, but some of the ones that we'll come to later on won't. So we'll use the CCS and put this to the test and give this a try. Turn it on first. Press that a couple of seconds, it lights up. Then we can plug that in. Okay, so it took a few seconds, a couple of clicks. We're seeing that it's charging in the car. We also see that it's charging on the screen. And we are up to 45 kilowatts now. I think this thing only does about 50. The car, that is. Future battery man here. I just want to cover full disclosure that I had this product for the trip, to try out on the trip, and I've liked it so much that I've reached out to EV Boy to find out how I could keep this product for longer. Now, I'm not saying this is for everybody. If you don't use public chargers, it's not going to be worth the money for you, but for the reasons that I'll cover later on, I feel it's worth it for me. Now, if you're interested, I have given a discount code which is in the description, or you'll find out later on in this video. I want to find out whether this adapter can truly change the experience of owning a Nissan Leaf. The Nissan Leaf is not known for its long-range fast charging capabilities due to its air-cooled battery. Rapid gate. But I do love how the Nissan Leaf is basic compared to a lot of EVs, and surprisingly I find it can munch up the miles just fine. The question is, will this adapter improve that for me? And since I'm a bit of a cheapskate at heart, will I be able to access some of the cheaper CCS network so that this device can actually have a payback? So we are in Winchester at an Instavolt site where they have an absolute ton of chargers here, and all of them come with CCS and CHAdeMO. So really the super hubs are not the place where this thing is useful, but it's not the super hubs that I would actually want this for. I generally don't come to the super hubs because they tend to be more expensive. The prices on this, 89p with a pre-authorization value of £45. I would use this with Octopus and it would be down to like 80p, but that's on the really expensive end. Out of interest, Arnold Clark, they are around 50-ish p for their chargers at the minute, so yeah, they can have a shout out. Try and use them as much as possible. But they're not necessarily going to be in the place that you need. I see this being useful when it's a pub, maybe your retail place like a supermarket, all those sort of places where the prices are a bit cheaper. If you need a super hub, then it's here. But this place is just a bit different. It's got so many chargers. There's a Starbucks over there. There's somewhere for the kids to play if you've been on a long drive, and it's just off the main road. So yeah, we'll carry on to our next place where it's a little bit cheaper. So this to me is the real use case for this thing. Charging at the Tesla chargers. Not because it's Tesla, we're not Tesla fanboys here, but Tesla have 50p charging at most of their stations, and in the evening it's way cheaper, it's in the 20 odd p. That is comparable with some home charging. I think as EV drivers we are quite spoilt with home charging, which makes EV charging prices seem expensive. Charge here. Gonna select 1A, 57 pence here. Plug in to start. Let's turn that on first. And then push this all the way in. There we go. It's telling me on the app that it's initializing the charger. Now I think the newest chargers of these have screens on them. 21%, there you go, it's jumping up to 35.
Unsurprisingly, that works perfectly. If only all public charging were these prices.
As I said, as EV drivers, we are a little bit spoiled with home charging. Home charging at like 5 to 7 pence is so much cheaper than public chargers. And a lot of public chargers, that's over 10 to 15 times cheaper. Do you think that public charging should come down in price? That you might use public charging more if it came down in price? Or will you always treat it like the last option, the emergency, the holiday? Because that's kind of how a lot of people use it at the minute. Or do we need more destination chargers? There's a balance here. We wouldn't have been able to do what we've done today without using public chargers. Maybe if we'd have stopped at a pub, we could have dealt with a slower charger there, but in reality, we needed public chargers today, so we all need public chargers. But yeah, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Right, it's getting cold, so should we sit in the car while this charges? This is quite an odd site. There's a whole bunch of chargers here, and it's on the back of some random building. So it probably makes the site cheaper, but no coffee stop here.
Knowing that we have access to every public charger available in the UK certainly does take the stress off long journey. This is proving to be very reliable and easy to use, but how exactly does it work?
Cold to the touch. It is an EV Boy adapter. This is basically the UK CE approved version of the Chinese product. And I think it's amazing that this has come along that allows these vehicles, it's not just Nissan Leaf and CHAdeMO, but it allows this range of vehicles to really be used in 2026. Now you might think it's just a simple adapter like this Type 1 to Type 2, but there's so much more going on in here. There is different communication. It's not just a couple of bus bars and some connections. I think there's contactors inside here too. Now, the Nissan Leaf using CHAdeMO is basically CAN bus messages, so the charger is a little bit like an extension of a module in the vehicle, whereas CCS uses basically networking, like a simplified network that you would use with computers. So they're very different systems, and ordinarily they wouldn't go together. So yeah, I think though we're being a little stupid here because we're using these Fastnet ones, and there's some Tesla ones over there, and I think that is where the real saving with this thing comes in. So do you think we should just move over there and save some money?
We topped this car up a couple of times over the weekend, and every charger that we've used so far, this thing has worked perfectly. This is awesome. Now, of course, I didn't need to stop in as many places as we have, but I wanted to put this thing through the test and see if it was gonna fail on me or error out or just not perform as expected. And honestly, it's worked perfectly at every single stop. So onwards with our journey until we get to our final stop.
Quite
funny. We've genuinely got here with no range. And there's nothing reported on this side. Nice. So that'll do as a full charge. Okay, so this is our last stop on this trip, and it's going to be a long one because of how flat the battery is. So I'll stick this on charge, turn it on, and then whack this in. Ooh, I might need to move over. Okay, let's pretend I didn't have to move that over. These Teslas and chargers are very much set up for Teslas. I'm going to charge here. Got 2C. Start charging, and 57 pence compared to the other chargers. This is so much cheaper. There we go, initializing, makes a few beeps, and it started. Okay, so behind me are the Osprey chargers. There's a good row of them here, and I think it's it's two on the end are CHAdeMO. But the thing is, these are like 80 pence, 85 pence each, whereas the Tesla over there, it's not just Teslas that are filling up, all sorts of cars are there. It's quite ironic really that they're all using that, avoiding this because the price differences are so high, and ordinarily you wouldn't be able to access that with a Nissan Leaf, but with this adapter you can access those, and I think this is where this adapter works perfectly. Now it's raining, so I'm going to go and drink my tea somewhere in the dry.
There is something smug about charging this Leaf in a place that people didn't anticipate you to be able to charge. In the same way that doubling the capacity of the battery gives you twice the range, and swapping the inverter gives you more power. So having lived with this adapter for my road trip, does it tick the boxes? Does it make this Nissan Leaf better? And is it worth it to me? Last summer we took this car down to Cornwall, mainly to prove to myself that this battery upgraded vehicle could actually do it. I planned to stop at Gloucester services, but the only CHAdeMO charger was on the wrong side of the motorway, which pretty much sums up the problem with this car on long trips. Honestly, if I had this back then, it would have made a big difference. Now though, with this little device, the problem just disappears. It gives me access to pretty much every charger across the UK, and that changes everything. It means less planning, less stress, and honestly, we'd even consider taking this car over to Europe now. For a cheap car like the Nissan Leaf, that kind of peace of mind is massive. And when you know that you can tap into the cheap networks like Tesla chargers as well, it actually becomes a lot easier to justify. So, for me, this is kind of a third step in upgrading this car. First was the battery, then we made it a bit faster, and now this. We're making it properly usable. I actually like this thing so much that I actually reached out to EV Boy to see how I might be able to keep it for longer, and to see if I could get a discount code for you guys. So, if you're interested, type Batteryman into the checkout for 25% off. That is crazy. I'm curious though, what do you think? Was this the upgrade that the Nissan Leaf needed? And what should we do next? Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.
We go fast, yeah, we can't get enough. We stay all day, all night, living in paradise. Remember, you don't get it twice. The time of your life.